Nobody forced you to open this. You chose to sit here, in whatever room you're in, and press play. That's already more intentional than most of what you'll do today. Most of what I'll do today. Most of what anyone does, and that's exactly what we need to talk about. There is a question that scientists, philosophers, and the occasional drunk at 3 a.m. have been asking for decades. Have we ever found another intelligent species in the universe? Have we ever picked up a signal, decoded a transmission, detected anything at all that suggests we are not alone? No, we haven't. And I know that sounds like a trivial observation. You've heard it before. Oh, the Fermi paradox, sure. But I don't think you've actually let it land. Because if you had really sat with what that means, you would not be spending 4 hours a day on a short-form video app designed by engineers whose only job is to make sure you never, ever stop scrolling. Let me try to make this concrete. The observable universe contains somewhere between 200 billion and 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy contains, on average, hundreds of billions of stars. Many of those stars have planets. We've confirmed over 5,000 exoplanets just in our own cosmic backyard. The numbers are so large they stop meaning anything, so let me shrink it down to the one fact that matters. In all of those galaxies, stars, planets, potential oceans, potential atmospheres, potential chemistry, we have found zero evidence of another mind. Not one signal, not one artifact, not one structure that couldn't be explained by physics alone. As far as we can confirm, consciousness, the thing that lets you watch this video and feel something about it, may be the rarest phenomenon in the known universe. And you are one instance of it. Not humanity. You, specifically. The configuration of atoms that makes you required a chain of events so improbable that mathematicians get uncomfortable trying to calculate it. Your parents had to meet. Their parents had to survive. Every ancestor going back 3.8 billion years of continuous life on this planet had to survive long enough to reproduce, just once. One plague, one famine, one predator moving 2 meters to the left, one different partner on one different night. And whatever consciousness is reading these words right now simply wouldn't exist. Something else would be sitting in your chair. Something that is not you. Think about that for a second. Your seat could be occupied by a completely different mind, and that mind would have no idea you were ever supposed to be there. Because there is no supposed to. There's just the staggering, almost offensive luck of the fact that you made it here at all. So here's where I lose people. Because the natural response to hearing all of this is something like, okay, yeah, existence is precious. I get it. I've heard this. And then you close the video, pick up your phone, and open Instagram. And I'm not saying that to be condescending. I do it too. We all do. That's the thing, knowing something intellectually and actually living like it's true are two completely different neurological events. And the gap between those two events is where most human lives quietly fall apart. We are living through the most sophisticated attention extraction operation in the history of civilization. I want to be precise about that word, extraction. It's not a metaphor. The business model of every major social media platform is built on a single resource, your time. More specifically, your attention, which is just time with direction. Every second you spend on those platforms is a second they have converted into data, into ad revenue, into quarterly earnings for people who do not know your name and would not care about your goals if they did. That's not a conspiracy. That's a business model, and it works because they are extraordinarily good at it. The engineers who build these products, the recommendation algorithms, the notification systems, the infinite scroll, they are not building entertainment. They are building compulsion loops. The same basic mechanics that make slot machines addictive have been translated into software and placed in your pocket. Variable reward, intermittent reinforcement, social validation triggers, these are not accidents of design. They are the design. The goal is not for you to feel good. The goal is for you to come back. And the most insidious part is that it works on smart people. It works on people who know exactly what's happening. You can read every book about attention economics, understand every psychological mechanism at play, and still find yourself 20 minutes deep into content you didn't choose and don't care about. Because knowledge doesn't override a dopamine loop. Information doesn't rewire a habit. Only sustained, repeated behavior does, and that requires something social media is specifically engineered to prevent. Boredom. Boredom is the productive state. Boredom is where your brain starts generating its own signal instead of consuming someone else's. Every great idea, every creative breakthrough, every moment of genuine clarity you've ever had came from a moment when there was nothing else to do. Social media has almost completely eliminated boredom from modern life, and we are only beginning to understand the cost of that. Here's the part that actually bothers me, not the addiction mechanics, not the attention economy. Those are problems with known solutions. You can delete the apps, set the timers, do the thing. What bothers me is the opportunity cost that nobody talks about because it doesn't show up on any measure of harm. You have a finite amount of deep cognitive energy per day. It's not a metaphor, it's neurochemistry. Your prefrontal cortex, which handles complex reasoning, long-term planning, and creative synthesis, depletes over the course of a day. The research on decision fatigue, cognitive depletion, mental bandwidth, it all points to the same conclusion. You have a budget. And every time you engage with algorithmically optimized content, even passively, even just by scrolling, you are spending from that budget. Which means the question is never just, how much time did I spend on social media today? The question is, what didn't happen because of that time? What problem didn't get solved? What skill didn't get practiced? What project didn't get started? What conversation didn't happen? What version of yourself didn't get built? I know how this sounds. I know there's a genre of content, motivational, aggressive, slightly insulting, that makes the same point by telling you you're lazy and that successful people don't waste time. I'm not doing that. That genre exists to make you feel bad enough to buy something, and the feeling fades in 48 hours. This isn't that. This is just math. You have, if you're lucky, somewhere between 25,000 and 30,000 days of life. You've already spent some of them. Every day is a subtraction from that total, not an addition. And within each day, you have a window of genuine productivity, real, deep, generative work that is probably 4 to 6 hours long on a good day. That's it. The rest is maintenance, recovery, logistics, 4 to 6 hours. Now take whatever amount of time you spend on short-form content and subtract it from that window. What's left? I want to be fair here because the reflexive answer, just quit social media, problem solved, is incomplete. Some people use these platforms to build something real. Distribution, community, income, these are legitimate things, and dismissing them entirely is a position you can only hold comfortably if you already have another way to reach people. Not everyone does. But there is a difference, and it is not subtle between using a platform and being used by one. Between opening an app with a specific intention and a defined time limit, doing the thing, and closing it versus opening it because you're bored or anxious or avoiding something, and surfacing 40 minutes later slightly worse than you were before. One of those is a tool. The other is a habit that has mistaken itself for a personality. And this is where the cosmic thing comes back, because I think the reason it's so hard to change this isn't willpower and it isn't character. It's that most people have never actually decided what they're for. Not in the vague, aspirational way, I want to be successful, I want to be happy, I want to matter. I mean specifically, concretely, with enough resolution that you could look at any given hour and say, this moves me toward that thing, or it doesn't. Without that, you default, and the default in 2025 is the feed. The people who seem to have solved this, not the ones who perform productivity online, but the ones who actually build things over years and decades, they share a trait that has nothing to do with discipline or sacrifice. They have something they're moving toward that is more interesting to them than the alternative. The work is more compelling than the scroll. Not always, not every day, but enough. And that thing, that orienting direction, is not something anyone can give you. Not a video, not a book, not a coach. It has to be found by actually trying things and paying attention to what makes you feel like time disappeared. That's the signal. Not passion in the romantic sense, just the experience of losing track of time while doing something that produces something real. Most people never find it because they never have enough uninterrupted silence to hear it. The noise is too constant. The stimulation is too reliable. The discomfort of not knowing what you're for is immediately solvable by opening an app, and so it never gets solved. The question gets buried under content until you're 40 and it surfaces as something that looks like a midlife crisis, but is actually just the original question, finally getting loud enough to hear. I'm not telling you to delete everything tonight. I'm not telling you to become a monk. I'm telling you to take seriously, actually seriously, not performatively seriously, the fact that you are an unrepeatable event in a universe that has produced very few of them. That the attention you have right now is the most valuable thing you will ever own, and it is being harvested at industrial scale by systems that have no interest in what you become. And I'm asking you to ask yourself, just once, with real honesty, what would you be building right now if the feed didn't exist? Because that answer, whatever it is, that's the direction. That's the thing worth the cost of discomfort. That's what the silence is for. You don't have to rush. Rushing is just anxiety with a productivity label on it. Consistency over intensity, always. The person who works 2 focused hours every day for 3 years builds something. The person who works 16 hours for 2 weeks and burns out builds a story they tell at parties. But you do have to start. And you have to keep going when it gets boring, because it will get boring. And that's when most people reach for their phone, and that's exactly the moment that determines everything. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. In all that time, across all that space, something arranged itself into you. Into this specific mind, in this specific body, with this specific set of experiences and capabilities and desires. That probably won't happen again. What you do with it is the only question that has ever actually mattered.